How are you feeling about things now that we're, about a week and a half out?
Better than I did a week and a half ago. So, we're starting to solidify really a 2 deep. Really coming out of last Saturday, actually started talking about travel squads. So, when you got 110 guys and, now you're talking about the 65 or 65 or 70 guys that you're really working it with and getting the scout teams and doing some opponent stuff. So really solidifying positions and looking at depth and rotations and things like that this week and working specific situations. Today was really a dedicated red zone practice. Third down situations yesterday. So really getting into some specifics and things we're going to face and what our plans are in those areas of the field and situations.
Coach, what do you see from Khalil Tate that you like?
I like a lot. He's growing. I think it's a little bit different offensively what we're asking him to do. I think Noel has done a nice job. We've thrown a lot at him the first couple weeks, and to your question, now we're starting to get to game plan specific things, and his strengths. And so when you have a whole lot, you just for the first couple of weeks, the way we've done it, you just call plays, defenses, and now we're starting to get to specific situations, specific looks, and so and helping him understand in areas of the field what to do. I think he's picking that up well, and down the distance situations, and so from that standpoint, I think he's growing because he really, as I've said before, he really hadn't played a lot of football, and at this level, and so those situations and situational football is something that I think he's worked very hard on, and I think as a team we've worked very hard on him in the last few days.
When you said that, I'm describing as quite calm. Have you seen that, and do you feel like that helps him on the field in any way?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been around a bunch of different guys, like that. See Case Keenum, he doesn't hardly show any emotion, and when he does, it's crazy emotion. So we've got to get a little bit more excited. So there's been a bunch of guys like that, and I think with what we do and where he is. He has to operate that way because there's a lot of things going on for a quarterback in this system. But I think but in the end, you got to be in part of that leadership style is going to be who he is. And I say it a lot to coaches and young coaches and guys that are coming up. They emulate different people, and do different things. In the end, you got to be yourself, because when adversity hits or there's some sort of crisis, guess what? The real you's coming out. And if people hadn't seen that before, it creates panic. And so he's doing a good job of that.
When you say you're too deep at each position, where does the quarterbacks fall in that?
Could be 3 deep there.
When
the depth chart comes out next week.
What is your assessment of that group of guys behind Khalil at this point?
They all have different skill sets. It's Kahari has obviously changed his body, and has been around a little bit and has done some good things. Rhett has done some really good things at times. Both of them have. And the 2 young guys, really. So, we really kind of worked those guys a little bit, and there's going to be some situations where, because of, you've got 2 older guys that have a little experience, at least age and experience, they're probably a little bit ahead. But, you got the 2 young guys that, because of the new rule, they're not out of the mix either. So really it's been, at this stage, as you start to really, we have really, in the past and right now, the starter gets the majority of the reps anyway, right? Once we get to 2 weeks to the game. And so the rotation and different drills and different areas with really those 4 people is still going on, and trying to keep them ready to go. And then situationally, probably next week we'll start talking about who that, if something happens, who's going to the game.
Coach, have you been pleased with the physicality level this week?
Yeah, I mean, we had a pretty big, I don't know, probably 70-some play scrimmage last Saturday night, at about 10 o'clock after it stopped lightning. So it probably would have been longer, but it was late. And then we actually did some live red zone goal line stuff today, which you get to about 10 days out, you start looking like next week you get an ankle, and that could keep you out of the way. So I've been happy with our guys' effort. They haven't always done the right thing. That's what's been frustrating me. But I think the effort and what they've done on the field and the physical part of this practice, I think that they've handled well.
How has the Heisman hype affected Khalil or the team?
I don't know that it has.
How's the progression of the offensive line in camp?
What's that?
The offensive line, how's their progression been?
Well, it's been a little bit of everything. We've had you guys have been out there. It's been more of a rotation at different positions to try to find the right pieces. And I think a lot of times people think in terms of 5 guys, but when you're a little bit thin at that position and you've got a guy who's really out for a couple games, you can't just find the 5. You've got to have a what-if plan. So a little bit of that rotation has been about that too. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. So it's as we start to settle down and really into next week about who that is, what that looks like. It's still ongoing, but they've made some progress.
Would you say that that's the position group that's in the most flux still at this point?
Yeah, I said that since camp started. So, and then Donovan got hurt a couple weeks ago and has missed practice and was really doing well. And but he's back, doing some things, and so that was another setback to that situation. But he'll be back next week, and I look for him to be in some sort of in a piece of that rotation also.
Are Nathan Eldridge and Alex Kaczynski part of the mix right now? What's their status?
Not right now. Not right now.
Is that injury related? Yeah. Moving on. So who among that next group of wide receivers that stood out to you beyond kind of the Poindexter, Sean Brown type of guys?
I think you've got a bunch of interchangeable parts now that really, looking at our guys and Stanley, Larry Hill's had a really, really nice camp. I guess you saw, released it on Twitter, it's how nice the camp he's had. So I'm not big, show the whole, the team was absolutely elated because the guy has just worked his tail off. And one of the first guys to get over it was Khalil. So I think that ought to tell you something too. When you watch a room like that. But, the whole group has really, really improved. And we don't have any hesitation out of the top 6 guys, really 8 guys to play at any time because of what we do and how we rotate it, along with the tight ends. I think that Bryce has had a really nice camp, and so has Memo. And so I can, you can probably see a little bit of them in the rotation a little bit more also.
How did you go about letting Stanley know or letting the team know that he was getting this scholarship?
Oh, if we wanted to let you know that, we got all kinds of social media platforms.
How about, is that one of the most rewarding things for a coach when you get to get to do that?
Yeah, it is, and it's, I would say over the last 10 years, as head coach, I don't know how many guys. I'm kind of biased in this because I was, so, you know, it's a big deal. And not just financially, but it's a situation where whether you admit it or not, when that happens, it's really a statement that, hey, I belong here in the division of football. And, you know, obviously families are happy from a financial standpoint, but they're also very proud. And you know, it's something that you know, we've had the good fortune at Houston or A&M and even here that these guys have all played and contributed and won games.
So you had no background in Scotty Young before a week ago or so. Now you've seen him practice at least a few days. If you formed any initial impressions.
But he's, you know, the issue is he really hasn't done since he couldn't work out or do anything. We've had to be real slow, you know. So, and realistically, right now we can do that because he's not, you know, he's not involved with this. So we've got other people that we have to, some of these other guys that we have to get ready and see how this looks, and you know, we can't just get him, you know, just come in the building and start going like crazy. So we'll see. And he'll be all right.
His position.